have in common. They go to school. Our children need to understand what is safe and what is not safe, and the course teaches this. Addictions and abuse often go hand in hand and are covered individually and collectively in this course. Abuse is a factor in our society that experiences gaps in the way it is recognized, addressed, and treated. Parents need to be educated in recognizing addictions and abuse. They are also in the work field and work with other parents who may be addicted or abusers or have children who are being abused. Therefore, they can interrelate and make for a safer community. Teachers need to be educated because they deal with children every day, and often abused children sit invisible in classrooms. Teachers and other students are the ones, besides the children's own parents, that would interact with them on a regular basis. Students need to be educated as well because they interact with their peers who could potentially be being abused or involved with drugs and alcohol. Ms. Musrell contends that abused children or those at risk might potentially respond in a more positive manner to their peers. Friends who are educated can offer initial interventions to eliminate barriers, as the child may have difficulty with authority and parental figures. Mr. Tony DeCourcy, a well-known addiction specialist and community trainer, has developed a component on addictions which will help youth understand when they cross the line from social to problem use and addiction. The pitfalls and interventions are laid out. Apparently a highly addictive drug, methamphetamine, with no apparent treatment for abuse, is making its way across New Brunswick. More and more young people fill the beds in treatment centers. This is a reality in New Brunswick. Everyone can benefit from increased information about addiction. Mr. Carl Gauguin is a retired EAP, Employee Assistant Program Counselor from the RCMP, where he worked for over 2 decades. He has extensive experience in criminology and communication skills. He is currently CEO of MC Border Security and does international, national, and local speaking engagements. His passion for helping others continues to be a major goal of his life. Mr. Carl Gauguin has designed 2 components of the program: conflict negotiations and characteristics of an effective helper. These components direct participants to the website of the Canadian Counseling Association, Ethical Standards for Counselors, with their approval. Carl comments that there are 3 things to remember about conflict. It is omnipresent, which means it is everywhere. It happens many times a day and does not always result in a fight. It is okay. Despite what we may have learned as kids, conflict is acceptable and even desirable if there is to be social change and individual development. Conflict needs to be addressed in some way, resolved, coped with, and discussed, but not simply ignored. Parents, teachers, and students will benefit from these sessions. Carl comments that there are 3 things to remember about conflict. It is omnipresent, which means it is everywhere. It happens many times a day and does not always result in a fight. It is okay. Despite what we may have learned as kids, conflict is acceptable and even desirable if there is to be social change and individual development. Conflict needs to be addressed in some way, resolved, coped with, and discussed, but not simply ignored. Parents, teachers, and students will benefit from these sessions. Dr. Bonnie Priest has spent over 2 decades studying the development of people and the impact of oppression, both in society and the education system. She is passionate about enhancing the individuality of all people. With a background in cardiology and extensive learning in the fields of education and criminology, Dr. Priest has focused on pertinent areas for 2 components of the course: stress, self-care, and balance. Reiterates the signs and impact of stress, eustress, and distress on the body. A lifestyle quiz, which is meant to promote self-awareness and choices, has been included. Education of marginalized individuals focuses on the gap in the education system, while offering positive solutions, creating awareness for change at the same time. While students in the lower socioeconomic target group are addressed, the segment also focuses on the higher achievers. Nutrition, exercise, and individuality for healthier school environments are addressed. Teachers, parents, and students will be able to work collectively on health and school issues as a result of having a better understanding of interventions, choices, and their home and school environments. Training interested students in the course will allow for broader training within the school system and community groups. In February 2007, the first LEAF Facilitators course was organized by Dr. Bonnie Priest and Staff Sergeant Kim Quartermain.
Heidi Callahan says life as a teenager hasn't been easy. The 19-year-old says she was abused as a child and kicked out of her house when she was 12. She says she got involved in drugs and has spent the past few years in and out of jail. Now she's staying at a women's shelter. Callahan says there's been little support along the way.
There were shelters and stuff, but a lot of them you can only stay for a couple weeks, like 2-3 weeks, and there's no way in hell that you can get your life back together in just 2-3 weeks.
Dr. Bonnie Priest has started a program that educates people about the troubles facing at-risk youth. She says too many of these young people are misunderstood.
More and more youth are at the homeless shelter. They're hanging around there. Like 15 years ago, 10 years ago, there was all adults. Now you see groups of youth, and hooded, cutting, slashing, drugs.
Mark Barber graduated last year with his education degree. He says he didn't cover training like this.
Okay, there is a need for our teachers who deal with these children on a daily basis, who are on the front lines, to be given the opportunity and the safety nets in the programs and the coping and the counseling skills in order for them to be able to work with our youths.
Priest says she's had discussions with the provincial government about getting this program incorporated in the New Brunswick Community College system. She's also hoping to get the federal government on board so that similar programs can run right across the country. Denise LeBlanc is a parole officer. She says the strategy is exactly what the country needs.
I've seen how if we don't all work together, if there's missing information, missing link, how things can go wrong, and how things can go so well if everybody works together and if we listen to each other and communicate.
I do think it'll help, I do, but I think there needs to be more people like myself and that need to talk to people and tell them their story, really, so they can understand more.
People working with at-risk youth will now train others in their field. The program itself will be reevaluated in 2 years. For Global News in Fredericton, this is Steve Bruce reporting.
We are ready to launch LEAF Facilitator courses and community classes now. The course is currently being evaluated by the Department of Education for implementation into the curriculum. Our goal is to gain partnerships with many groups. In November 2007, the course received an award from the Solicitor General and Minister of Public Safety in the province of New Brunswick through the New Brunswick Crime Prevention Committee. Research shows that homeless youth numbers are on the rise and often reveals the rising health problems in this target group. The Minister of Education stated that just fewer than 1,400 students between grade 7 and grade 12 dropped out of school in 1 year. The Criminology Educational and Counseling Skills Program has been designed to provide a safety net for students within our province, and we need many partnerships which include parents, teachers, and students to collaborate. The issues surrounding an at-risk youth are universal. Therefore, our facilitators plan to implement this 2-day course into other parts of Canada once successfully launched in New Brunswick. We hope that you will join us. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. For further information, please contact Positive Heart Living, 65 Brunswick Street, Victoria Health Centre, Fredericton, New Brunswick, E3B 1G5, 506-458-8678.